Well, we just got back from an event where we had cardboard boats going across the lake, and I brought my 3 kayaks. And these kayaks have a cover that goes over the top of that, and I've learned to take the covers off because the boys lose them. They're out there just having fun climbing on them, sinking on, and doing all kinds of stuff. Well, I've lost one cover before, and we lost another one this weekend. And so this plate is a just a simple old plastic plate, and that fits down inside there. It's got a couple of places for a hinge. In the past, I just made a wooden set. They quit making these. I've tried to buy them, but they quit making them, so you can't buy one for it. And it's a little wider than my 3D printer will print, so I make them on a CNC. And it's basically has it's kind of a kidney shape. It's about 8 by 11 in width and height. And so what I've done is I've cut it's got a handle that turns from the top, goes through there and turns, and it's got this bottom thing under that catches the side of the cabinet. So, and that fits in and it keeps the water kind of from going in and around it. So it has a little lip on it to keep the water out primarily. And this device was made for Old Town Canoe, and I went there, and then I also went to Temperance, and they just don't make it. These are 20 some years old, probably 25, 30 years old now, I would say. I bought these at Sam's, and they were $245, $250 a piece, and they have literally had thousands of boys use them over the years, and they've held up pretty good. It's an Old Town kayak. Then they had a Denison name on them, was the name of it. So I've got 2 different types here, but anyway, and then this is the one that I've had, and of course there's always maintenance you got to do on these things. You got things that are always breaking on them, and cords that are going, and handles that are breaking. But anyway, so this project this time is to make one of these, and so that is what I'm going to be making. Let's go to the shop. All right, out in the shop, I'm gluing together a board, and I'm going to glue it 9 by 12, and it'll be centered in here. And then when I'm doing the double-sided thing, I will flip it end for end. So this end will be here upside down, and so it will flip like that and go end for end. And of course, this hole right here will be cut from the top and the bottom. So 2 different pockets. One's a bigger pocket, then one's a smaller pocket, so for it to fit into. And there you go. That's kind of what we're doing. And I will cut this on the table saw and make the blank an even 9 by 12, and so that it will fit in there. Let's go ahead and look at the Vectric file. All right, this is a little pocket about a 1/4 inch thick, and that's got a little recess in the pocketing. And I'm going to go in there and I'm going to clean this up and change this just a little bit. You can get that to where that is, but basically this comes in from the top like that, comes in like that, and then this piece screws onto the top of that one in there, and it has a locked cam that fits on there. And of course I'm not going to be able to probably do that so much with that, but this will basically be something very similar to what I'm getting ready to do. Okay, this is the work I've done in Spire. This is the Old Town Hatch 11 by 8 kidney shaped design. And that's a piece of pine that I've cut. It'd be 9 inches wide by 12 inches thick, long, and it'd be 1 inch thick. This is the tool paths that are doing it. We're looking from the bottom view. Popped it into a double-sided job, and this is the inside of the hatch. And I've also reinforced the outside of the hatch, so if you was wondering about the pine being thin enough, that actually makes it down to almost an inch thick. So it makes a pretty good sized latch on the outside of it. And this is about 3/8 thick on that side. And the puck that sits in here is a little bit different design than the other one. Basically just fits in there, and it's 2 parts. One is the bottom part that laps over to the edge right here that locks it in, and then the other one is just the turnkey up here at the top. And there we have it. And I think I actually print that out on a 3D printer. So we'll just have to see about that. And anyway, that's kind of the design we got going on. And let's look at the 2D dimensions. Basically, that's your two-sided. So we'll flip it over to the other side. And basically, I just plan on flipping it end to end. And then it'll cut this part right here and do them both on that. Put the pocket in on the bottom side. And then the top side would basically be flat with this like right here. So yeah, there we go. And that's working that way. So let's get back to it. Well, after running that thing on through the table saw and scoring up to 9 to 12 inches, then I brought it over here to the planer and got it down to 1 inch thick. And I just hooked up the vac on that one, which goes vents outside and drops that in there. Wasn't a lot of planing, otherwise I generally will use the bigger dumpster. But anyway, so we've got that done, and then I stepped over here to the CNC, took some 1/4 inch plywood spacers and just the scraps, and I went around the box and loaded her up for that. Put my cams in, put a washer under the bottom and a washer on top. They're engaging the tops and the sides, so there's no slop in there anymore. And I'm about to load up the 3/4 inch, and then I'll center that on the piece, and then away we'll go. All right, we're loaded up with ready to go. The block secured. It's got 3 screw positioning plus all of the 23 gauge pin nails pinning it all down, and then the screws are actually holding it down on the sides over here. And I've got it centered, and I need to set my Z height, but I'm going to change that out, put a 3/4 inch bit in there. And it's kind of funny, I will use these little cheapo Harbor Freight carbides or grizzlies, and you can actually run them on a diamond stone and sharpen them back up. So anyway, I'm going to use that little guy there and have it do some work. I've got 3 or 4 of my tool paths that are in one of them, so I'm going to go ahead and get that checked up and ready to go. All right, we're zeroed off of it. I'm going to load our Old Town Kayak, and I've got all 3 1/4 EM cuts loaded up, and it's 9 by 12. Click next, not use, and start. And there she goes. Like I'm using about 3 passes on that. Tool path to the end is doing the clearance cut into the very center of it first. I haven't run this in a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, so I'm not real sure how it's going to run. I sharpened that bit with a diamond stone just on the flat edges of it, the tooth loop. And I was kind of curious how it would do. But it's cutting fine, and I've got it doing pretty good as far as speed goes. So it's doing good. I'll let it finish this thing there. It's probably going to go down and do another depth cut. Go down a little bit deep slower. There we go. And let it run its course. Alright, it's on its 3rd pass. Going around there, so we're probably getting pretty close to being 3/4 inch deep. So that means we've got about a 1/4 inch left on the top side, or on the back side, I guess. Side it's on the face, down on the table. So it should be finishing up here in just a little bit. I temperature. I think we're in the 90s. I'm not sure what it is out here in the garage, but I got sweat running down my face. Haven't been doing too much out here. It's just been too hot. And doing a lot of outdoor things and stuff. All right, let's see what it does now. Whoa, it's going down a little bit more. So this is the fourth pass. Yeah, it might not have been 3/4. This is probably getting down to 3/4. There you go. It's been too long since I did it. It might be 5 passes, huh? All right. Now I was looking at that phone. I'm thinking, well, maybe I just tweaked that just a little bit because it was only trying to do in 1 inch and 1 pass. So I'm trying to figure out what it was that I was trying to get it to do. Anyway, so I went back in and edited on my tool pass and make sure they were all doing 5 or 6 or 7, depending on how thick I was going. This thing's going to be going down through there. This I did measure. This is right at 3/4 inch, so that's all good. I did reset my bit. I did lose my Z on that as far as the height of it, because when I told it just to stop it, it put it up about 1/4 inch above. So that was a little bit too much for it to do in 1 cut. I've got it doing like 7 cuts on that one. So I'm gonna run it again, and I did save my tool pass in the file this time, so that if I ever cut another one of these, I'm not gonna be going through this again. So there you go. All right, let me move this up. So I can do a flip around on it. Turn my cams in so I can get that around. A little slack in there. Should be able to pop this up. And this, all this does is goes in for in. Right here. Tap that into place. Okay, that was an easy transition. So let's go ahead and run this other double side on the other side, and it's basically the top hole outside. And we're going to click next, and we'll turn on the vacuum, put the hood down, and let her rip, tater chip. All right, I'm going to use a cut out the lid. Let her get started. Go down through there and go around there and get to it. Double-sided projects are kind of fun. Depending on, am I cutting this right? Is that the right size? So I'll let it do its thing. Should go down through there and do 5 cuts on it, maybe 6. And put some tabs in it. And the edges of that are right at 1 inch thick. So I may modify this one just a little bit. We'll just see. Alright, so my cam's out of the way there. Let's see what we got here. Okay, there's that and that. There's my lid there. I'm just wondering if I need to have that recessed down just a little bit more. See what she looks like. The outside looks pretty good. The inside looks like it might fit inside there pretty close. Conundrum is right here. Do I need to lift this just a little bit? Put me another little lip inside here so that that lips over more like that. I think I'll put one in before I cut this out. Go from this outer ring in and leave this a little bit thicker on the inside ring. So let me get that done. Well, just when you thought you were really doing something. Of course, you don't put it in there with the pocket nails in there now, so let me go ahead and do that so I lose all those. Well, thinking I'm so smart, I turned it in there the wrong way. Settings is right. I just my placement wasn't too good. So I got a little bit of a switch there on that. I think I can probably clean that up instead of making a whole brand new one. Then again, I may want to make a brand new one. So I'm just going to let it do its thing. And trim that lip up. Of course, I just put some pin nails down inside the hole there to hold it. Because pretty soon them tabs will be gone. And they'll just sit there and float around a little bit. Whether or not I got that taken care of, we'll find out. Interesting, it's doing its own little backup cut. May not be all bad. See my pin nails hold it. Alright. It stayed put, even with no tabs, with them 4 pin nails in there. So that's good to see. I'll clean that up, see if it fits. Alright, let's see what we got here. Of course, there's my boo-boo with me putting it in the wrong place. But that's that. And keep in mind, it's made out of pine, so I wanted my stuff a little thicker than it probably needs to be. But, you know, basically my pieces, they should fit pretty close to it. And, like that. I'm gonna go down there and try it out and see how she fits, and see if it's gonna fit in there, and make the modifications where it doesn't. So let's see where we're at. I did make this piece of this a hair thicker, made it about a 1/4 inch thicker than what it is now, just because I wanted it to be a little thicker. And of course, I went over this real quick with a sander, so it needs to be cleaned up a little bit more. But we'll see if it fits for prototype. All right, I went back in and changed a few things on this. I took the piece out to the kayak, and it was a little bit tight right in here where this inner lip fit in. It was just like, it need a 1/4 inch. So I went ahead and milled it down and made it a little bit shorter. And then I thought, well, this is too thin. So what I ended up doing was I moved all this in just a little bit. I made this a little bit smaller, and then I moved this in a little bit, and then I, of course, have my lip up here on the top part of it. And then on the other side of it, of course, you know, it's 9 by 12 and all that remained the same, but I just brought everything in just a little bit, except for the outside one, so that I would be able to slip it in. My other hatch from 3 or 4 years ago, it just kind of set over the top of it. And so this one, I wanted to kind of sit down in it, make it a little more, you know, workable, that kind of thing. So let's look at, let's preview all of the tool paths and all sides, and we'll let it go down through there and cook all that good stuff. And reset to preview. We'll go over here in 3D mode, preview all sides, and it's going through there. Of course, this is the top. This will get a knob in the side of it. I'm going to look around the top side of it on the bottom, and then this is the lip. And what we're going to do is just kind of tilt this where you can kind of see what's going on. I did make the tabs thicker so that they would still engage it even after I had it cut. because I'm doing some milling on both sides of it. And anyway, so that's kind of what I've got. This part here now fits down inside the hatch with the overlap and that kind of thing. So, and then let me double click that, go to the bottom and that kind of thing. So, and then along with that, I've created the knob and yeah, finger grips. And it looks like I created that on the back side of that. So I was wondering why it wasn't showing that. So let's preview all the sides here and get a little look at what that looks like. And let me just go ahead and delete this, and then we're going to rotate that. And you can see that this piece here fits inside that. And then of course this is the place where you can put your finger, and this will have a pretty good size screw. It's a 1/8 inch screw that will tie them all together. And then as far as this goes, I've made this out of 1-inch stock, so one of these things will need to be adjusted. I may thin this up just a little bit. This piece here should be thick enough to just about get. I might have to cut that off just a little bit, and the other piece, it doesn't have to be that thick, so I'll probably be adjusting those to that thickness. So anyway, that's that. And look at our sheet here and that kind of thing. So there we go. So that's kind of what we've been doing. Tomorrow I've got a couple boards out there that are gluing up. I jointed them. I'll cut them to 9x12, and then I'll go back out there and cut them, and we'll get that done and start back on that tomorrow just to see what it'll do. I know I've got a couple hasps that I'm going to have to be replacing, so I thought I'd put a little more time into this to get this thing to go the way I want it to.